So now we are going to start with the new topic, pre-fertilization, structure and events. Much before the flower is seen, the decision for making flower has been taken. By whom and how, that we need to understand, right? So much before the flower appearance on plant, the decision for flower formation was taken place. What does this mean? आप फ्लावर जब देखते हो प्लांट पे, उसके बहुत टाइम पहले ही डिसाइड हो चुका था कि पर्टिकुलर ये पार्ट पे फ्लावर बनने वाला है. एंड फॉर दैट द प्रीमोर्डियल जो होता है, जिसको हम बोलेंगे फ्लोरल प्रीमोर्डियल, इन दैट several structural and hormonal changes will take place. Hormonal changes will take place. Because of that, it will lead to development and differentiation processes, and ultimately flower formation will take place. So we can say that inflorescence, different types of inflorescences, then floral bud, and ultimately flower formation takes place. In that, we all are knowing that the two main reproductive whorls are andrecium and gynoecium. So, both andrecium, that is nothing but the male reproductive part of the plant, and gynoecium, that is female reproductive part of the plant, will develop, and accordingly in male we can say it is whorl of stamens. So stamens development will take place, while in female carpels or pistil development will take place. Right? So this we are going to study about the structure of stamen and the related parts, along with the structure of carpels and the related parts in detail, and how they are going to develop the male gametes and female gametes, that also we need to understand. So now we are going to start with the stamen, microsporangium and the pollen grain structure. So, stamen, microsporangium and pollen grain structure. Stamen is the individual unit of andrecium or male reproductive system. So starting with stamen, individual unit of andrecium, which is having mainly two parts. Having mainly two parts. The two parts are, I can show you here, Okay, so the two parts are, we'll start from here. So this is long, slender structure known as filament. Long slender structure, slender मतलब एकदम thin structure and it is long also. So long slender structure which is known as filament. This filament at proximal region. When we are saying proximal, मतलब जहां से उसका origin हुआ है उसी के nearby. So if the origination is from here, this area will be known as proximal and this area will be considered as distal region. So at proximal region, it is attached. It is attached to thalamus or maybe the petals of flower. At distal region, it is having anther. So this is all about stamen. The number and length of stamen varies in different flowers. In different flowers, it can have different lengths and the number also varies. So now we are going to start with the next structure, that is anther. So starting with anther. Okay. So anther is basically bilobed. Typical angiosperm flower is having bilobed structure. What is the word meaning of bilobe? Bi means two and lobe means kind of cavity. So anther is having two cavity structure known as bilobed structure, and in each lobe there are two theca. Again, the word meaning of theca is chamber. So that's why I can say it is known as dithecus. In each lobe, it will be considered as dithecus. सबका साथ में मिलना है तो बोल सकते हैं tetrathecus. So anther is normally having bilobed structure. This is bilobed structure. This kind of structure and this is filament part. So two lobes are present and each lobe, मान लो ये साइड की बात कर रही हूँ, each lobe is having two theca. So two theca can be shown like this. 1 and 2. Same way 1 and 2. So these are theca, and that's why we are saying as dithecus in one lobe or tetrathecus in the entire structure. A longitudinal fissure or groove runs lengthwise to separate this theca structures. So how it is going to happen? Longitudinal groove runs lengthwise to separate theca. So how it is going to happen? Again, this is one lobe. This is another lobe with longitudinal groove. So this structure is longitudinal groove, right? And having two theca in each lobe. So 1 and 2. 1 and 2. 2 theca are found, but with a longitudinal groove run lengthwise to separate these chambers. Now, this anther is basically having four-sided structure. So, anther is having four-sided structure, and that's why we can say it as tetragonal. We can say it as tetragonal. And in each side, at each side, it is having microsporangium. Microsporangium. So again, anther is having four-sided structure, you can see here, and each side it is having a sac-like structure which is known as microsporangium, which develops into pollen sacs. Sac बोले तो थैली जैसा structure. So it develops into pollen sacs, and these pollen sacs will have pollen grains inside it. It will have pollen grains inside this pollen sacs. Right? So again I am repeating one more time. Basically anther having bilobe structure, and each lobe is having two theca. So you can say ditheca structure is there. Longitudinal groove runs lengthwise to separate both side theca, and as it is tetragonal structure, it is having four microsporangia. Singular is microsporangium, plural is microsporangia. So total 4 microsporangia on each side. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 microsporangia will be there, which later on develops into pollen sac, and that pollen sacs will have pollen grains inside it. So now we are going to start with the structure of microsporangium. So structure of microsporangium. Okay. First of all, the word meaning of microsporangium. Sporangium is a sac-like structure. Anywhere, if we are saying sporangium, it's a sac-like structure. एक चैम्बर जैसा, एक कैविटी जैसा होता है, जिसके अंदर माइक्रोस्पोर्स है. So that's why it is known as microsporangium. In botany, micro is always related to male gametes and mega is always related to female. याद रखने के लिए हमेशा याद रखो कि मेगा सेल वो वुमेन के लिए होता है, कभी भी मेन के लिए नहीं होता है. तो मेगा जब भी वर्ड आता है वो रिलेटेड टू फीमेल पार्ट होता है. So structure of microsporangium, we studied that in anther it is present. So the transection of anther was giving this kind of arrangement with longitudinal groove separating all the microsporangia present at each corner. So these all are microsporangia. Again, plural is microsporangia and singular is microsporangium. Now, when you are looking at this microsporangium, it nearly looks circular arrangement, or appearance is almost circular. So, appearance is nearly circular arrangement. But when we take transection of microsporangium, we have 4 walls or 4 wall layers are present in that. These 4 layers which are present here those are number 1, that is epidermis. Second, endothecium. Third, middle layers. And the fourth, tapetum. Again, epidermis from outer side, then endothecium, middle layers and the tapetum, out of which these 3 layers are responsible for giving protection and they dehisce. That is, dehiscence process takes place to release pollen grains. While tapetum, that is responsible for providing nourishment. So how the structure is present? First of all, epidermis. So this structure I am elaborating here, taking little bit bigger view. So this is the structure of epidermis, the outermost tissue, right? So this is epidermis, the outermost layer. Second is endothecium. Endothecium is present here. So I am just showing it by dotted structure. You can make it clear and you can differentiate it from epidermis. So this one is endothecium. Then the third layer which is present, that third layer, that is the middle layers. So middle layers बोला है तो I will show you 2 to 3 layers over here. So 1 and 2 layers. Let me give little dark portion. So these are middle layers. And the innermost layer, that is tapetum. So tapetum can be shown here. This is tapetum. So this layer is known as tapetum. Right? This tapetum layer is actually having dense cytoplasm. So tapetum is having dense cytoplasm because it has to provide nourishment, and along with that it can have more nuclei. Sometimes you can say binucleated structure also. Now the question which comes in our mind, that how this binucleated structure formation takes place. Then we can assume that in tapetum, just to understand that these are the cells of tapetum. Inside this cell, endomitosis occurs. एंडो मतलब इनसाइड, माइटोसिस मतलब सेल डिवीजन का एक टाइप जो नॉर्मल सोमेटिक सेल्स में होता है. सो ड्यू टू एंडोमाइटोसिस, नाउ व्हाट विल हैपन, कैरियोकाइनेसिस, दैट इज न्यूक्लियर डिवीजन विल अकर. न्यूक्लियर डिवीजन विल टेक प्लेस, बट साइटोकाइनेसिस कैन नॉट टेक प्लेस. साइटोकाइनेसिस नहीं हो रहा है, तो वही सेल में नाउ विथ सेम साइटोप्लाज्म यू आर हैविंग 2 न्यूक्लियाई, बिकॉज साइटोप्लाज्म का डिवीजन नहीं हुआ है. So that's why I can say sometime they become binucleated also. Now, this is the structure of microsporangium, where its center at this position marked by this area, it is having a specialized tissue made up of homogeneous tissue. Right? So here homogeneous tissue cells are present, and those are known as sporogenous tissue. Sporogenous tissue. Again, the name is suggesting genus means going to generate. What they are going to generate? They are going to generate spores. So sporogenous tissue is present at the center of each microsporangium. So now we need to understand how spores are going to form. Right? So here at every center part we are going to have, sorry, I need to show it at center. We are going to have sporogenous tissue responsible for formation of spores. Now, we need to understand that how spores are going to form from sporogenous tissue. So, for that the process which is involved, that process is known as microsporogenesis. Right? So, now what is going to happen that the sporogenous tissue cells, sporogenous tissue which are having 2n sets of chromosomes, or you can say diploid sets of chromosome, these sporogenous tissue undergo meiotic division. And meiotic division, you all know, that is known as reductional division. So this is reductional division, and because of that you are going to have 4 cells like this, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So now I can say this I am going to have tetrad. Right? So this is also known as microspore tetrad. And the ploidy here, it will be haploid. So actually what happens? I can say that each cell from sporogenous tissue is capable to give rise to pollen. Right? So is capable to give rise the pollen structure, and that's why that each cell is known as microspore mother cell, or it is known as pollen mother cell, right? And the ploidy will be diploid of that structure, or maybe it is also known as potential pollen, right? So known as potential pollen. Now from that reductional division will take place. So meiosis will occur, and you know that after meiosis 4 cells are going to produce. So those 4 cells are going to form a tetrad, and that's why these tetrads are known as microspore tetrad. Now at maturity, anther gets mature. At that time I am talking about. At that time it will get dehydrated, and sooner or later the outer 3 layers of microsporangium, those are epidermis, endothelium and middle layers, get dehisced. So first of all they get dehydrated and dehiscence process takes place. Dehiscence is nothing but the rupture, फट जाता है वो, and liberating pollens from that. Get liberated. So thus how now these microspore tetrad I can show you like this, because all are free from each other, and because they got dried, they got dehydrated, and ultimately when the layers get ruptured, these pollens get free in the atmosphere. So how that pollens get liberated, dehiscence process कैसे हो रहा है? So for that you need to understand this kind of structure. So here you can see these are 1, 2, 3, 4 जो हमने इधर बताया था, ये वाला स्ट्रक्चर, इफ यू रिमेम्बर. One, 2, 3 and 4, right? So these 4 layers, 1, 2, 3 and 4, after dehiscence, after rupturing, you are going to have this kind of structure. So the layers here, these layers, those get ruptured, and because of that the pollens which were present here got liberated. So here all the pollens which are present, they start getting liberated from the pollen sacs. Right? This is also here. 3rd and 4th chambers are here, and because of that, now from this area, pollen start getting liberated. Right? So this is mature anther. Here it is connective tissue, and it get dehisced, and because of that the layers, the walls get ruptured, and all pollens, these are all pollens, get liberated into the atmosphere. So that's how several thousand times pollens are generated inside the microsporangium. You can see here that each cell is responsible for production of pollens. So thousands of pollen grains can be produced. And one more structure, if I am showing you this as porogenous tissue, it is having 3 layers. So I can show this as little bit elaborated structure here also. Right? So 3 layers, and the innermost is tapetum, which helps to produce nourishment for the developing structures. So let's start the structure of pollen grain. Pollen grain. It represents male gametophyte. Represents male gametophyte. These pollen grains, if you want to experience that whether actually those are present or not, just take any flower from your surrounding. Maybe you can take hibiscus, right? So what you have to do, hibiscus flower, for example this is hibiscus flower, right? And here this is stigma part, and if you touch this hibiscus flower, ये portion जो yellowish दिखता है, if you touch it and just rub it on your hand, you can see and can feel the yellow powdery structure present in your hand. You have to take out those structures, means whatever is present on your hand, that you have to take and put it on slide, right? And when you observe it under microscope, you can see various structures, various different kind of variety of pollen grains in different flowers. Here we talked about hibiscus, but the same can be applied to other flowers also. So pollen grains are, as they represent male gametophyte, we need to understand the structure. They are generally spherical in shape, having around 25 to 50 micrometer size. These pollen grains are normally dry structure, maybe having smooth or spiny surface. If you are observing it in rose, you will get smooth surface pollen grains. But if you are observing it in hibiscus, you can see the pollen grains with spiny surface on it. Right? So it has various varieties. This pollen grains, it has one nucleus and two outer layers. Right? So pollen grain has one nucleus and two walls. These two walls are known as the outermost, that is known as exine. The outermost, it is known as exine, and the innermost, that is known as intine. So again, if I want to show exine layer, this is the inner layer, that is intine, and along with that, this is outermost layer, that is known as exine. Right? So two layers and with one nucleus is there. So total one cell with two layers is present. Exine is made up of very tough chemical known as sporopollenin. So exine is made up of sporopollenin, and this sporopollenin is able to withstand करना मतलब उसको bear कर लेना high temperature, even acid cannot destroy it. And because of this nature, pollen grains can remain as fossils. They can be preserved as fossils for several years. टेम्परेचर हाई हुआ या लो हो गया, एसिड अटैक हो गया और कुछ भी हो गया, बट द आउटर लेयर इज सो टफ दैट the internal structure will remain as it is in the preserved form. But this exine layer is also having certain structures known as uniform apertures called as germ pores. These are germ pores known as germ pores. Right? What is the function of germ pore? When this pollen grain, it gets settled on stigma of carpel. For example, this is stigma of carpel, and the pollen grain is present here, and it gets germinate. When it gets germinate, the intine layer is responsible for formation of pollen tube. तो यहाँ से pollen tube develop होगा. This is pollen tube. But how come pollen tube come out from the sporopollenin toughest layer. It is not possible, right? So for that, to facilitate the pollen tube growth, these germ pores are present. Intine layer that is made up of cellulose and pectin, and it is responsible for development of pollen tube on germination. So pollen tube, if it develops, it will come out from the germ pore layer. So this is known as pollen tube. Right? Now this pollen tube, it can form only after pollination process, when further fertilization process has to be started. But the pollen grain, when we are talking, it is having this kind of structure, where due to mitosis after pollen formation, two cells have been formed. Again repeat कर रही हूँ. सबसे पहले था pollen grain, which was haploid. Right? Now mitosis takes place. So because of that, now what will happen? There will be two cells. So within pollen grain, one is bigger cell with dense cytoplasm and irregular nucleus. So dense cytoplasm with irregular nucleus. This cell is known as vegetative cell. This cell is known as vegetative cell. And one more smaller cell, which is also having dense cytoplasm but round nucleus and of spindle shape, which is floating in the cytoplasm of vegetative cell. Again repeating, one more cell which is of spindle shape. Here are spindle shape. So this is spindle shape with cytoplasm and round nucleus. Here, that structure, it is known as generative cell. Right? So bigger cell is known as vegetative cell, while the smaller cell is known as generative cell. So right now you can say that pollen grain is of two-celled stage condition, and in angiosperm, over 60% species, the pollen grains get shed in two-celled stage condition. So they get shed at two-celled stage condition. While in other species, what happens? In other species, again the generative cell divides mitotically. So generative cell divides mitotically to produce two male gametes. Two male gametes. Question: why mitosis? Because generative cell is haploid and gametes are also haploid. Same way here also mitosis took place because this is haploid. Vegetative cell is also haploid and the generative cell is also haploid. So two male gametes will be there. So now the pollen grain is in three-celled stage condition. That is one vegetative cell and 2 male gametes. So 3 cell stage condition is there. So rest of the other species will shed their pollen grains in 3 cell stage condition. Right. So this is 3 cell stage with 1 vegetative and 2 male gametes. Pollen grains of many species have been identified as the allergens. They are responsible for creating allergy along with the respiratory afflictions which may lead to asthma and bronchitis. So, pollen grains of many species are responsible for causing allergy and respiratory afflictions leading to asthma and bronchitis. These are the severe respiratory problems and may cause difficulty in breathing to particular organism and particular human beings also. This pollen grains, one of the example being allergen, I can give you as Parthenium. Parthenium is a species also known as carrot grass, which was introduced into India as contaminant of imported wheat. So, पार्थेनियम और कैरेट ग्रास जो था वो जब वीट को इंपोर्ट किया गया उस टाइम पे उसमें कंटामिनेंट की तरह आया एंड अल्टीमेटली नाउ दे आर बिकमिंग परवेसिव एंड कॉजिंग सिवियर एलर्जी इश्यूज. बट अलॉन्ग विद दैट pollen grains are also identified as the source of nourishment, and for that in western countries these pollen grains are used to form tablets and syrups. So tablets and syrups are formed with the help of pollen grains, and it has been claimed that this can help to improve the effectiveness or the efforts of athletes and the race horses. One more thing which is most important, that we need to check the viability of pollen grains. Why? Because if the pollen grains do not remain viable, they will not be able to go further in the fertilization process. And viability depends on mainly 2 things: the prevailing temperature along with the humidity. And in different species viability is also of different time period. So for example, if I am talking about cereals like wheat and rice, in such type of crop pollens remain viable only for 30 minutes after the dehiscence process. After they get shed, only for 30 minutes they remain viable after their shedding. While in case of other families like Solanaceae, Leguminosae, rosaceae. The pollen grains remain viable for several months. Nowadays, there is one more concept of preserving pollen grains in pollen bank. So, pollen banks can be the storage house. It can act as the storage house of preserved pollen grains in special condition, and because of that, various types of important species or endangered species, we can preserve those pollens with the help of this pollen banks, where the method which we are going to use, that is known as cryopreservation. So, with the help of cryopreservation, which is preserving pollen grain in liquid nitrogen at minus 196 degree temperature, it can help to preserve these pollen grains for longer period. So that's how pollens can be stored at very low temperature for future studies and future development.